Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're pulling back the curtain on the incredibly concentrated, extremely high-stakes world of 2026 maritime trade. Look, if you move anything, whether that's bulk commodities or highly specialized machinery, across the globe, understanding this landscape is absolutely critical to your survival. We're going to break down the exact strategies you need to navigate this market, make smarter decisions, and ultimately protect your bottom line. Let's get into it.
Okay, let's kick things off with a number that's honestly just mind-blowing. 84.1%. Right now, just 10 carriers control a staggering 84.1% of total global shipping capacity. That means your options as an exporter are highly concentrated. And, when just a few players hold that much power, small and medium businesses are usually the ones who feel the squeeze first. But, and this is a big but, if you understand how to navigate this concentration, it's actually a massive opportunity.
There's this quote from the source material that I absolutely love because it hits the nail right on the head. It says, "Your shipping line choice can make or break your margins faster than any tariff change or currency swing." It really emphasizes just how much of a direct daily impact this concentration has on your supply chain survival. Choosing the right partner? It's not just checking an operational box anymore. It is literally the absolute core of your financial strategy.
So to build that strategy, we first need to map out who these giant players actually are. Section 1. The 2026 shipping landscape.
The sheer scale we're dealing with across the industry is frankly hard to wrap your head around. The global container fleet capacity sits at over 33.6 million TEU. To put that into perspective, that is enough 20-foot containers to stretch around the entire globe several times over, and the top 10 carriers alone make up over 28 million of that capacity. Just listen to some of these standout players. You've got COSCO Shipping Lines sitting at number 4, armed with a massive order book at 38.1% of their existing capacity. They are heavily backed and ready to challenge the top spots. And right below them is Hapag-Lloyd, known as Germany's reliable performer, focusing super intensely on schedule integrity and modern, efficient vessels. But what's really wild is the absolute dominance of the top 3. MSC is in a league of their own with 20.7% market share. Operating independently outside the major alliances gives them incredible agility. Then you have Maersk at 13.7%, who are doubling down on end-to-end logistics and deep tech integration. And right behind them is CMA CGM at 12.3%. They're undergoing this massive fleet expansion right now, with an order book sitting at 45.5% of their existing capacity. I mean, these 3 entities alone are basically dictating a massive portion of how global trade is executed.
Now, while those global numbers are definitely fascinating, relying on them alone is a dangerous trap for B2B exporters. Let's move to Section 2, Beyond the Global Rankings.
You really have to contrast the illusion of global capacity with the reality of regional network density. Think about it. A carrier might absolutely dominate the trans-Pacific lands, but have terrible infrastructure for the specific corridors you actually use. If your supply chain relies on the GCC, MENA, or ASEAN regions, global size matters far less than local feeder connectivity. You need to know how efficiently that carrier can move your container from a mega hub, like Jebel Ali in the UAE, to your regional destination ports. And as massive new multimodal land corridors open up, like Iraq's development road linking the Grand Fa port directly to Europe, you need a carrier whose logistics network is actually integrating with those emerging regional arteries. You also have to look beneath the surface. You've got to contrast headline spot rates against your actual total cost of ownership. Chasing the absolute lowest rate on a PDF quote? Yeah, that usually leads straight to margin-killing dwell times, chronic port emissions, and terrible schedule reliability. Actually, it's a lot like buying a super cheap airline ticket and then getting hit with 100 hidden fees. A low-cost carrier might just roll your cargo without any warning to protect their own tight margins, which totally ruins your operational velocity and, worse, your relationship with your buyers. True supply chain optimization means evaluating the total comprehensive cost.
Now, beyond the carriers themselves, there are massive structural changes reshaping global capacity right now. Section 3. Megatrends reshaping maritime trade.
First up, the 2025 and 2026 alliance shakeups have completely redrawn the map. We've got the Gemini cooperation between Maersk and Hapag-Lloyd, which is laser-focused on hub-and-spoke reliability. Then there's the Ocean Alliance, that's CMA CGM, COSCO, and Evergreen, who've locked in trans-Pacific stability well into the 2030s. And the new Premier Alliance brings ONE, HMM, and Yangming together for strategic slot exchanges. And look, for everyday exporters, these aren't just fancy boardroom handshakes. These shifts directly dictate your space availability, your rollover risks, and your landed costs.
Next, we have the ongoing operational fallout from geopolitical disruptions in the Red Sea. Major carriers are consistently diverting vessels all the way around the Cape of Good Hope. And guys, this isn't a temporary bottleneck anymore, it is a structural shift. This routing adds roughly 10 to 14 days to Asia, Europe, and Indo-Gulf voyages. Operationally, that triggers higher fuel burns, massive insurance surcharges, and severe container shortages at key transshipment hubs. Your carriers absolutely must have resilient alternative routing structures to handle this.
We're also seeing environmental compliance evolve from, corporate PR into a very hard commercial reality. Take the EU ETS, the European Union Emissions Trading System. This means carriers now face substantial carbon taxes. And guess what? They are passing those taxes directly to you as ETS surcharges. This is exactly why partnering with carriers that run younger, dual-fuel vessels or those investing heavily in green methanol literally lowers your financial exposure. Carbon efficiency is now a direct line item on your freight invoice.
Over on the technology front, true digital leadership is now all about deep customs integration. The Electronic Bill of Lading, or EBL, is a digital transport document that completely replaces physical paperwork. But its real superpower is when it natively interfaces with modern customs single windows, like the UNCTAD-backed ASEAN systems or Saudi Arabia's Bayan 2.0. That simultaneous verification eliminates forgery risks, bypasses physical bottlenecks, and slashes clearance times before the vessel even docks. It's a real game changer.
And financially, the megatrends are just as disruptive. We're seeing a very real shift toward de-dollarization through platforms like Mbridge, which allows for instant multi-central bank digital currency settlements in regional currencies. Alongside this is RWA, or real-world asset tokenization. By converting physical commodities and bills of lading into digital tokens, exporters can unlock unprecedented liquidity and automate escrow settlements. Partnering with carriers that are compatible with these decentralized networks gives you a massive competitive edge. Okay, so what do we do with all this? Let's turn this theory into practice. Section 4, Strategies for Superior Margins. Let's see how you can actually protect your profits in such a volatile environment. Here is your insider playbook. These are the 5 core strategies that separate the supply chains that just survive from the ones that truly thrive. Building direct carrier relationships, diversifying alliance exposure, leveraging granular data, timing contracts smartly, and calculating your true total cost of ownership. Let's break these down real quick. First up, you have got to diversify. Putting all your cargo with one single shipping line is a critical single point of failure. If you commit entirely to one carrier, you're fully exposed to their specific port emissions, their labor disputes, or their routing shifts. You need to split your volume across multiple lines, spread that exposure across different global alliances, and use that positioning to create natural competitive tension during your rate negotiations. And to create that tension, your ultimate weapon is data. Let's be honest, subjective arguments carry absolutely no weight in freight negotiations. You need to aggressively track your own port-to-port transit times, carrier-caused dwell days, and your damage rates. Entering annual reviews armed with your own independent data empowers you to hold lines accountable for service failures. It lets you negotiate concrete service-level agreements instead of just blindly accepting their generic public terms.
Next, you've got to time your contracts smartly. Ocean freight is highly cyclical. If you rush into long-term commitments during peak demand, you're going to get locked into inflated rates. On the flip side, relying entirely on the spot market exposes you to massive surges when crises hit. The winning play here is a hybrid approach. You lock in baseline volumes during slack windows with flexible midterm contracts while keeping a calculated percentage open so you can capitalize on favorable spot market drops.
And remember, you don't have to navigate all of this in the dark. There are practical tools out there to make these logistics decisions so much easier. Our source highlights platform.tendify.net, which offers cost calculators, documentation generators, and the precise market intelligence required for modern exporters to compare quotes and save crucial operational time. Having the right digital platform just makes working with these major carriers significantly smoother.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a real provocative question. Are you still relying on outdated macro rankings and headline rates to build your supply chain, or are you ready to engineer true geopolitical resilience? Look, the top 10 carriers dominate for a reason, but size alone does not guarantee your success. True success comes from understanding their strengths, diversifying your risk, and using hard data to demand reliability. The seas are always going to keep moving. Just make sure your business has the strategies to move efficiently, profitably, and confidently right along with them. Thanks for joining us.